morning, afternoon, and evening to all of you. And thank you very much for joining us today. It is a real pleasure to have so many people from around the world joining us to what is a very exciting session. We will hear from 22 wonderful startups who have made it to the top 100 on the Startup Energy Transition Award this year. My name is Cristina Morales, and I'm Senior Manager for Regional Activation and Startups of the World Energy Council. Before we start, let me first tell you a little bit of our organization. We started up nearly 100 years ago as the world's first permanent energy organization. As a community of common sense, we safeguarded an agenda of energy for peace. A century later, we're working across nearly 100 countries to enable energy for people and planet, and to secure more energy and climate neutrality. Our humanizing energy agenda reflects the role of people in energy and the bigger and exciting story for energy. More than carbon, and not just a commodity, but a river of life, the lifeblood of human progress. The energy matters to everyone and everything. And we, the world energy community, share the purpose and passion which drives entrepreneurs. We welcome the new spirit of entrepreneurship, and we are very proud of the global platform we have created together with DENA, the German Energy Agency, which brings together startups, energy firms, policymakers, academics, investors, students to work together towards an inclusive and neutral energy future. So today, we are very happy and honored to have such a brilliant lineup of entrepreneurs from around the world. We will be hearing firsthand from 22 brilliant startups. And let me tell you a bit on how the session will work. We will introduce each of the 22 startups, and each of them will have 3 minutes to do a pitch and tell us a bit about their business. We will then have a 2-minute Q&A session. Please, to everyone hearing us and joining us for this session, don't be shy. We really want you to participate, to contribute, and we look forward to your questions. Feel free to go into the chat and send the questions for these wonderful startups so they can answer them. So without further preamble, let's start. And I'm very happy to be starting with a wonderful startup named Ampacimon. It is a startup from Belgium, and it made it to the finalists on the energy distribution and storage category. For those of you who don't know, we announced the finalists earlier this week in the reception. So without further preamble, Ampacimon, the floor is yours. You have 3 minutes to share with us. Please, welcome.
Okay, thanks a lot. Hello, good afternoon. Hello from Belgium. We are very proud and honored to be part of this contest. And we would like to take DENA to taking this initiative, giving the visibility to startups from all around the world to present and contribute to the initiative of addressing the energy quick questions. This event for sure is one of the accelerators. A warm thanks also to the jury for selecting Ampacimon as one of the finalists. So who are we? Ampacimon is originally a spin-off company from Liège, University of Liège, and we have been already in the market for some years now. Our dynamic lighting solution has already been deployed in Europe, Benelux, Nordics, somehow also in Germany, USA, and even in Asia. So what we do? Dynamic rating is basically an innovative technology measuring the conductor, power conductor, ambient temperature, conductor sag, and wind. The data measured on the sensor is aggregated in order to improve the capacity of the power line in real time and also in the forecast. What is our unique proposition? Our solution is based, as you can see on the slide on the bottom, is based on the sensors and software solutions. Since our sensors are directly placed on the power line, we can accurately measure these key data directly from the power line. And we provide accurately the real-time and forecasted capacity available on the line. Hence, this information can be used in a safe manner by TSO to improve the capacity on their existing lines. This information can be cloud hosted, can be also hosted on the customer premises, and can be also directly integrated into the SCADA system operation room. What is our proposal, as you can see on the slide here? Germany is one of the most advanced, if not the most advanced country with regards to the integration of the renewable energy into the electricity grid. This rising capacity is exposing the German TSOs to the curtailments, as you can see on the map on the left, and to be able to address such rising integration of renewables, German TSO need to invest in infrastructure, including new power lines. As you may know, this is time-taking and resource-taking to invest in the infrastructure that way. There is therefore a considerable risk to delay and to address these curtailments and renewable integration. So our proposition is to equip these existing assets with dynamic lighting solution, which will enable TSO to address these challenges in a very short term, in accurate and safe manner. So that means to do more with less. Speaking about DLR, as you can see also on the map on the left, weather conditions have considerable impact on the grid. Correlation of the wind in feet, for example, is when the congestion is high. As Ampacimon accurately measures the wind information direct on the line, the line, this could considerably improve the capacity on these lines, as I shown on the map on the right side.
Valentin, sorry to interrupt you. We are over 3 minutes, so time is off for the pitch.
Sorry. Yeah, it's okay. You can go on the questions if you want. I can give more explanations.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Valentin. It truly seems very exciting, and Ampacimon didn't make it to the finalist because of nothing. You're doing a great job. And at the World Energy Council, we see that, of course, energy integration is very important, and it's a critical vision and things we need to do. And in particular in Europe, you're quite advanced. In other regions in the world, there's still lots of work to do. But I was wondering, do you see any particular role for Ampacimon in these energy integration and interconnection projects? Is your solution providing something which could be useful to really advance this energy integration purpose?
Yes, definitely. As I have mentioned, to improve this capacity inside the country and interconnections, the TSOs need to cope with this extra capacity between the countries, and our solution enables them to use that capacity, which we estimate 20 to 20% higher in real time, but also in forecast. So interconnection especially is important for the forecast, so we can provide also forecasted capacity for up to 60 hours. So yes, it can clearly answer also the interconnections issues.
Perfect, Valentin. I have another question for you, and it's about who are your buyers, who are your customers? Can you tell us a bit about the experiences you've had already?
Yes, our customers are the TSOs, so transportation system operators, and DSOs, so distribution system operators. And we have experience, as I mentioned, we have experience in around the world, in USA, in Benelux. We also have some experiences also in Germany. And yes, these are our main customers here, the TSOs and DSOs. People from asset management and operations, yes.
Excellent, Valentin. So congratulations on a great innovation and a great company. I think time is up now, and we need to move on to the next startup, which I'm very pleased to introduce to all of you. It's another finalist, this time for the demand side innovation category. And I'm very pleased to introduce all of you to Ekkono from Sweden. Ekkono, you have 3 minutes and the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you, Christina. So now is really time to pay attention, because I will tell you about the next big sustainability leap. You see, IoT enables product companies to extend the relationship with their products to after they leave the factory. Not only does this facilitate remote maintenance and upselling added value services and even providing their services or products as a service, it also empowers them to help their customers operate their products in a sustainable way. Now, let me illustrate this with an example. Air conditioners. The manufacturers of air conditioners have for decades made the general design of an AC as energy efficient as possible. But that doesn't really matter if you run the same settings in Berlin and Kuala Lumpur, if it's summer or winter, if people are in the room or not. Instead, you wanted to self-learn the conditions, adjust to the environment and to people's preferences. The impact is tremendous. I mean, just imagine the energy saving from just one hotel. Now, multiply that by 55 million ACs sold every year. And it doesn't even stop there, as our solution appeals to all the 83 billion connected devices that Juniper Research predicts by 2024. We can empower product companies in all verticals to run their products in a more energy efficient way. And we can help them do more, like enabling predictive maintenance and smart battery management that extends product life and wear part utilization. You see, Ekkono is a software company. We do edge machine learning software. It's embedded software library in C or C++ with bindings to Python and C#, 100% platform agnostic, super small footprint, designed bottoms up for the edge and IoT, and to help software developers expedite the development of smart, self-learning and predictive features. It's actually the result of 7 years of university research. And the uniqueness is one, that we can scale down to run on very, very small devices, sensor size of devices. And two, that we can train the model at the edge, doing incremental online learning on the device, learning the normal state for every individual device, detect deviations, or simulate what is the best setting. So Ekkono is a leader and a pioneer in this emerging space of edge machine learning. This has rendered us some top-tier customers like ABB, Volvo, Siemens Energy, Alfa Laval, Husqvarna, and Bombardier. We're driven by a passion to make IoT smart. We're driven by a passion to do good. And the more of these product OEMs that use our software, the more good we can do. So thank you.
Thank you very much, John. Very interesting and, of course, very inspiring. At the World Energy Council, when we speak about humanized energy, this is exactly what we mean. Dealing with the end users of energy. Energy in the end is for industry, for us as a human race to progress. So definitely very interesting. I see the Ekkono is a product of many years of research and university work. So my question for you is around the process. How did you come from an idea on a research lab in a university to come to be a startup, a company who really aims to change the world people consume energy to make it more smart and efficient? Could you tell us a bit about this process?
Sure. So I myself, one of the co-founders, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've done a few companies in the past with more or less success, to be honest. I spent over 13 years with my previous one that did really good, and we were selling equipment to telecom operators worldwide. So I came from traveling around the world, talking to telecom operators, and the only thing they spoke about for the last 4 or 5 years was IoT. IoT, IoT, what's going to happen when everything gets connected with sensors that are streaming data? So after leaving that company, I did an assignment for the university looking at commercialization and research. And that's when I met my co-founder, Rickard. And he had spent 7 years on predictive modeling, so machine learning, and had actually applied a full machine learning stack on board a connected device. So connecting 1 + 1, we realized that we're onto something. If we can make all things a little smarter, a little more cognitive, and Ekkono means cognition. If we can make them a little more cognitive, then we can really make a difference. And then things have evolved, and we've seen the use cases with customers and seen how it can really make a difference from a sustainability perspective. And that's what really makes it exciting.
Excellent, John. I agree with you. And it's wonderful to see this story of Ekkono, all its trajectory. And I'm sure it's also inspiring for everyone out there doing research, that really that research can turn into something which can change and have an impact around the world. Excellent. Thank you very much. I would like to maybe ask you a final question.
Sure.
In this whole process, what's the biggest challenge you faced and how did you overcome it?
So the biggest challenge, I think, without a doubt, is that there's some inertia. It takes time because you're not going to replace a fully functioning machine just because there's a digital version. So it takes longer to really go from an idea to the implementation of replacing old machinery and modernizing to really benefit from these strengths and opportunities. So that is a bit frustrating when you're an entrepreneur. You want everything to happen right here, right now. That is the biggest challenge. It takes longer than I anticipated. anticipated, but it will happen. So it's just a question of time.
Thank you very much, John. And indeed, you're right. The adoption of technology, changing the minds of users and making them adopt new visions and new ways of doing things, I think it's a big challenge. Once again, that's why we're always speaking about humanizing energy and understanding the customer. And I think Ekkono is a great example of how you've been through this process. So I think now time's over. And thank you very much, John, for joining us. And
thank you so much.
Thank you. We now go on from Europe to North America, and I'm very pleased to introduce you to a wonderful startup named ICwhatUC from Canada. They as well apply to the demand innovation category. So ICwhatUC, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Christina. My name is Guillermo Salazar. I'm the CEO of ICwhatUC. ICwhatUC is an augmented reality and artificial intelligence powered video platform for field service teams. We enable instant and on-demand video connection with anyone, anywhere in the world. Our customers use ICwhatUC to replace vehicle trips. They use it for inspection, customer service, estimations, and training. Field trips are a huge source of emissions. Vattenfall, as an example, is a medium-sized utility with around 7,000 technicians. Those technicians do around 5.6 million trips a year, solving customer issues and delivering work. Those trips contribute to or add up to 280 million kilometers driven annually, roughly the distance to Mars. So, you can think it in context. Vattenfall and the team drives to Mars every single year. Much worse, when they're doing this, and like the Mars trip, this costs roughly around $2 billion for Vattenfall. So there's multiple motives to be able to solve this problem. And what's worse is that they actually contribute 52,000 metric tons of carbon emissions for every annually, just delivering their field service. And that's just driving. No one's even gotten on a plane yet. What the whole world has learned in the last year here is that we know that when we use remote work with our field teams, we can be more productive. And even field teams are starting to feel this push, but they don't have the tools to fit their scope of work just yet. So we look at Zoom FaceTime and WhatsApp, and there's privacy implications and connectivity problems. With Zoom and WhatsApp, they're great office solutions, but they really don't have they don't work inside the field. And none of these products are ever going to use augmented reality or artificial intelligence to ultimately improve the efficiency of field work. ICwhatUC is universal. It's on demand, requires no app, and leaves no uncontrolled data trail, and uses AR and AI to ultimately improve the outcome to the end consumer, the end user. Transitioning away from our reliance on non-renewable resources means changing the way we think about how work is delivered and the way we execute processes. A lot of the processes that are in play right now, they're limited by what we thought to be possible when we initially designed them. And they, in fact, reward dispatching new trips, increasing more kilometers driven, and ultimately increasing more emissions, more carbon emitted. The best way to reduce GHG from field service is to actually think of ways to eliminate trips. Imagine looking at this picture that I've got behind me and seeing only one truck, and imagining all the resources that can be conserved by eliminating all of the time, effort, and energy and emissions that go in delivering multiple trips. ICwhatUC can be implemented in about an hour, and all the benefits pay out in the first week. And the more and more technicians use ICwhatUC, the ML will improve and accelerate work functions, further saving time and improving the quality of service. Our customers have proven they can eliminate 50 to 60% of their trips by using ICwhatUC embedded in their process. And they can make work safer, and they can make customers happier, and they could save that $2 billion. And most importantly, they can eliminate 25,000 metric tons of carbon emitted in just this example. So how do you implement a solution that saves costs, saves time, makes work safer, and reduces carbon? It all starts with making a small change in a very big process. Thank you.
Guillermo, perfect. Thank you very much. Time's over,
Perfect.
So just on time. Perfect.
All right.
Thank you very much, Guillermo. Very, very inspiring to hear from you. And as you say, the truck runoffs that you're avoiding is really a big contribution to climate neutrality. So congratulations, Very interesting. I have a question for you. What's the greatest barrier you faced when customers adopting your technology? Have you found any barrier, or are customers always happy to adopt it? How has that technology adoption process been?
Oh, very good question, Christina. I mean, the reality is that people have been delivering work this way for about 100 years. And so we're asking people to change the way that they do work change the way that they're ultimately the way they're compensated and the behavior that they perform and the way they do their work. So that change, as you described in the previous presenter, is a big part of what we do when we implement our services. Is we spend a lot of time with customer success teams and their implementation teams, ensuring that we understand the reward mechanisms, the motivations of the people that are using the technology, so that they feel most comfortable implementing the change and affecting the outcome that we're all looking to achieve.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Guillermo. And we have a question from the audience. What type of services should this work best for? They are asking.
Oh, sure. And basically, we look at the world of work in multiple tiers. So tier 1, tier 2 work. So estimations, inspections, customer service, deflections, and training are the biggest use cases that we use. So things where, there will always need to be some person eventually that goes on site, but often the skills are at site or on site at that time. And they just need a bit of instruction or a bit of guidance into how to actually do that work. And the back end of it, if a technician does need to go, if they've had a chance to review the site prior to dispatching the truck, they don't make that second trip. They arrive with the right parts, the right materials, the right person, so they're able to actually execute that work that first time. And both of those sides of eliminating the first trip and eliminating the second trip are how we ultimately affect change within energy transition.
Brilliant, Guillermo. Thank you very much, and certainly very interesting. And once again, many of the things we're seeing from your storyboard linked to this humanizing energy, to all the issues around customers being now at the center of the energy business. So thank you very much, Guillermo. And a small reminder before we go forward, to all the audience, we really encourage you to send your questions to Startup on the chat. I'll be taking a look into it. We now go back to Europe, to Switzerland, and let me introduce all of you to MPower Ventures. They applied to the Quality Energy Access and SDG 7 category. The floor is yours, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sophie, and I'm head of partnership at MPower Ventures. Today, I will give you a little introduction on how we're gonna revolutionize access to energy in Africa. Africa is home of some of the fastest growing economies in the world, and it's on the verge of a digital revolution. However, hundreds of millions of people and enterprises have no access to electricity or suffer from daily power cuts. This lack of energy, combined with falling prices of solar technology and storage, is a window of opportunity where we come into play. We at MPower have set up a B2B2C business model where we provide local partners with high quality plug-and-play solar technology, a software that digitalizes operation, collects data, even provides for a credit risk assessment and measures the impact. And the most important, we set up innovative financing models for our end customers, because providing a financing solution is really the key to unlock the full market potential of solar energy in emerging markets. In return, our local partner open up their network for us. They provide us with in-depth market knowledge and distribute our products to end customers. Our end customers include households and SMEs in urban and rural areas, as well as corporates and the agri-tech sector. This innovative approach we are following allows us to provide access to energy, financial inclusion, and an overall sustainable development, while allowing for a very efficient operation and easy scale-up. Since our incorporation in 2017, we came along. We are now
Thank you.
I can't hear.
Thank you very much, Sophie. I think there was an issue with the line, but I think time's up anyways. But very inspiring to see how at MP Ventures you're really working on finding colleagues. Hello, we can hear you now. Can you hear us, Sophie?
Can you hear me again?
Yes, we can.
Hello, can you hear me again?
Yes, we can. Can you hear us, Sophie?
I don't hear you. Shit.
Okay. So given we can hear you while we do some tech check, you can continue with your presentation if you wish, because you still had 1 minute and 30 seconds left. So feel free to go ahead, because we can hear you.
You can hear me again?
Yes, we can. So 1 minute and 30 seconds you've got left.
Okay, sorry, I don't know what the problem was. So basically, I was almost at the end already. I was just mentioning our local partners comprise financial institutions, MFIs, local distribution partners, but also NGOs, government organizations and associations and corporates. And yeah, we just started a fundraising round where we are looking into raising 1 million Swiss francs, mainly earmarked to scale up our operations and to further develop our hardware and software.
Thank you very much, Sophie. And now that we're back online and we've all learned how to deal with these tech issues. You cannot hear me? Okay, so there seems to be an issue. I suggest maybe to the organizers that while we solve this issue, so Sophie can hear us, we can move on to our next startup, and we'll come back to a few questions for MPower, who's definitely doing something very interesting, working with communities and solving not only issues about energy access, but also about financial inclusion. So from Europe, we now go to Latin America, to my country, to Colombia. And I'm very pleased to introduce all of you to Litro de Luz, a startup applying as well to the quality energy access category. Litro de Luz, the floor is yours, and you have 3 minutes for your pitch, and then we'll move on to the questions.
Okay, thank you so much. So Litro de Luz tries to solve two main problems. The lack of energy that, according to the United Nations, affects 770 million people, and the absence of the internet, as stated by the WE Forum, impacts 3.4 billion people. The lack of electricity and internet are related to a new dimension of poverty that is called digital poverty, which increased to the coronavirus crisis. This leads not only to inequality, but insecurity, lack of entertainment spaces, lack of access to the educational or health content. So Litro de Luz is a decentralized solar energy company that operates in rural areas and conflict or post-conflict zones in Colombia and Latam. And we are the fastest, easiest, and cheapest way to bring public lighting with Wi-Fi internet to any place in the world. We are strategically aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals 7, 9, 10, and 11. In the year 2015, ELISA and Elliot were created with the objective of bringing public light and internet to the regions without electrical energy. ELISA is a solar streetlight built from affordable elements available in any market. And Elliot is an intelligent solar streetlight that has the capacity to deploy a wireless Wi-Fi network so that a community's light up and internet access network can be deployed for the inhabitants. Litro de Luz is a company focused on serving communities in extreme poverty in areas where no other companies interest, with the support of private companies. And how we do that? Seeking private social investment to generate sustainable impact in vulnerable communities with our cutting-edge technology and the Ambassador of Light program. During the last 10 years, we have transformed the reality of thousands of people in 31 countries on 3 continents. Currently, the project is growing in Mexico, Colombia, and Peru. The impact is registered in our 24/7 online project management platform, and we invite you to bring light and internet to the life of the poorest of the poor through social innovation, community impact, and technology.
Thank you very much, Camilo. Certainly very inspiring how you're coming up with creative solutions to bring energy access and dignity to these poor communities which are far away and where the network and the grid does not have access. You mentioned you're working with private companies, something which I find really interesting because I really feel that the potential of innovations to transform goes when small startups and companies and innovators work with the big companies. So why don't you tell us a bit about with whom you're working, how that relationship's been working in a couple of examples, please.
Okay, so currently we have two models of operations. So we have one NGO. In the other hand, we have the for-profit startup or the for-profit companies. So we try to sell illumination projects to companies in the sector of the mining sector, of oil and gas sectors, to benefit their communities near to their operational zones or near to their factories. So we sell these programs to the private sector, and the private sector pays us for bring light to these areas. Are areas with difficult access and areas with the extreme poverty conditions in the rural areas, in the deep rural areas of these Latin American countries.
Thank you very much, Camilo. And we have a questions from the audience for you. So they are wondering, what is the business model? Who's paying for the solution?
Okay, for the solution pays sometimes the government and sometimes the private companies, the private sectors. So we sell our small program is 50 ELISAs or 50 street lights. And each one has a cost of $500. So the private companies pays for the installations and for the materials.
Brilliant, Camilo. Thank you very much. I think it's clear it's either government or private companies. And indeed, that pairing between NGOs, startups like yours, and private companies does seem interesting. And it's a way to reach these communities which are in the outside of in the limits of urban communities. So thank you very much. And let's now go back to Europe. And we have a wonderful startup, and excuse me for my pronunciation, it's a Dutch name, and I'm not sure if I'm saying it properly, LeydenJar Technologies. They brilliant. So my Dutch not too bad. They are applied to the energy distribution and storage category. The floor is yours. You have 3 minutes.
Thanks, Christina. So this topic deals really with the core of storage, which is lithium-ion battery cells, and how we can improve the performance. So my name is Christian Rood. I'm the founder of LeydenJar Technologies. And in these 3 minutes, I only have 3 points to make. So one is, why is energy density in lithium-ion cells so important? Second is, how do we boost the performance of that energy density, and why are we unique? And thirdly, why are we not only leading to a very good battery, but also at a lower cost, and even more important, at an 85% lower CO2 footprint? So let me start off with the battery cells. And they are basically everywhere, right? Probably in a range of maybe even a meter, you will have several lithium-ion battery cells. And the problem is, these battery cells are just not good enough. If you could imagine that with perfect battery cells, your electric vehicles could drive much further. It would enable new industries such as e-flight, and it would allow storage of residential energy that would be generated by yourself, right? So this is what we do. And we enable this high energy density by replacing one of the layers in the cell. So this is really deep tech. And the bottleneck in this energy density is in the anode. And we replace the carbon-based anode with 100% silicon anode. And that combination leads to a 70% improved energy density. That has been demonstrated by us last summer. And we do that not in the traditional way, but we are borrowing a technology that is used in semicon and in PV. It's called plasma deposition. Now, moving to the third step, what's unique about our technology is that we can use this technology in existing gigafactories. So that means you don't need to build a new plant, and you don't have to write off the technology in a gigafactory. And at scale, we believe we can be 20% lower in cost. And even more importantly, the CO2 footprint is reduced 85%. And that is because we don't have to do the graphite mining. We base ourselves on silicon, which is the second most abundant material on Earth. And finally, we have a single process step. So summarizing, with our pure silicon anodes, we can not only lead to battery cells which are better, so electric vehicle is stimulated and e-flight is possible, but also the battery cell itself will become much cleaner. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Christine. Very interesting. And indeed, as you say, rightly point, energy storage, we believe, is an enabler for many other technologies of the energy transition, right? And it's been one of those questions we've always had in our energy systems. How can we store energy efficiently and at an effective cost? And I think the model you're presenting is very interesting. And of course, in particular, how you're looking at scaling it up and being able to reduce that cost, which I think has been one of the big barriers we haven't overcome. I was wondering, how are you funded? Do you have professional investors? What's your structure behind?
Yeah, so first of all, we are also a spin-out as some of the other ventures that are presenting today. So we're coming from a renowned research institute. They've done a part of the development already. Right now, something like 7 million went into the company, and we are currently in a 15 million equity round that we hope to close in hopefully 2 months from now. And that will allow us to make the step to a fully industrial production line that will allow us to make the jump to gigafactory level. So currently 7 million and then 50 million, hopefully within a month.
Wow, excellent. It all sounds very exciting. And indeed, that amount of money going into it does reflect the importance of these projects, right? I was wondering, with all these funds you'll be getting, where do you envision the company to be in 5 years? What's your target? Where do you want to be in 5 years' time?
Yeah, so in 5 years' time, we want to be in mass markets and also in gigafactories. We don't want to build huge amounts of steel and machines. So we are a relatively capital light company. So we are focusing on the key equipment that is needed, and we will be working with large equipment partners that can already build these machines because they're building it for the PV and semicon market. But all in all, if we execute on our investor deck, we think we are eligible for an IPO in 5 years' time.
Well, this all sounds very exciting, and I wish you the best of success and luck with the promising and challenging years going ahead. And surely, if these innovations go and become a reality, it will be better for all of us and will allow us to have much more efficient energy systems. So we now have to move on to the next startup. And from the Netherlands, we go on to Poland. And I'm very pleased to introduce you to SUNROOF Technology SP. The floor is yours. And remember, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, thank you. So SUNROOF is doing building integrated solar roofs and facades, and we have the lowest cost per watt installed of any building integrated roofs as we know on the market. And not only Polish, but the international. We have done more than 150 projects so far in Sweden, Poland, Switzerland, Germany, and we have a run rate on growing more than 10x per year right now. We have done mostly residential, but we have also done commercial buildings. The largest roof so far is a roof that has almost 1,500 square meters, but we're also looking at much larger roofs for big warehouses. So we have the most powerful building integrated solar roofs, but we're also already working on the next generation roof that will produce even more power per square meter. So we, also since we are working with natural materials, but also use a low amount of materials to have a very simple construction. This makes that our roofs also has the lowest CO2 footprint as we know of in our category. So, which is also very important, not only with the production, but also the whole construction and CO2 footprints within construction. SUNROOF is also already producing more energy than the house actually needs. So we're partnering up with electrical vehicle producers And this is to promote sustainable living, that your roof is producing energy for your house, for everything you need, for heating, for cooling, but also your electrical vehicle, so it can be completely sustainable. But the partnership with the electrical vehicles is also for us important, because we want to take those old batteries later and have a second life battery appliance back into in a home storage appliance. So we also tap into this circular economy and to have a better use of the batteries. And this is also very important to build this battery storage capacity, because our end game is to build, and we're aiming to be the largest international virtual power plant based on residential buildings mainly that is in the world. And so far we don't see that anyone is have the chance to be as large and grow as quick as we do in this specific category. We're a co-founders team that have built previously very successful businesses. Today, the combined value of the businesses we have created is over 30 billion euro. And we have experience of working with Google and Tesla. Then SUNROOF is currently now on a very massive international rollout in Europe, but we're also soon going to launch in the United States. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lech. I don't know how to properly pronounce your name. Apologies. Let me know if I'm making a terrible mistake. Apologies.
That was perfect.
Okay, brilliant. So this SUNROOF project and startup looks wonderful. It indeed mixes up the final consumer, but also takes into account mobility issues with the electric cars integration. You're looking into it, and that seems really interesting. And it really highlights how energy is cross-cutting, right? Energy is not a silo, it's not an isolated system. It is part of our economy, it is part of our lives. So I love to see how this is happening. I was wondering, who are your main competitors? Who do you identify are your main competitors, and how do you think you're different from them?
So as you mentioned, so we actually want to take this whole kind of approach to making something that looks really good, because the building integrated roofs looks very, very good. So you don't need to compromise on design. That's true also for electrical vehicles. Then it's also practical. When you do it building integrated and you replace other materials with this, the ROI is much, much quicker. So you have the payback within just 3 to 5 years, which is much more competitive than traditional PV. So looking at everything, that's just one part. But as you mentioned, this is producing energy, and it's not an isolated island, and we need also to manage the energy. So that's why we also have this energy management system, and we want to kind of combine everything in one ecosystem and be the transition into the new kind of infrastructure and energy production and consumption. And the only company so far that we see that does everything in that sense is actually Tesla. So Tesla have their roof, they have their batteries, they have their cars, and they also have their own energy management system. So compared to Tesla, I would say Tesla is like Apple. They have everything their own. It's very seamless and nicely combined. And we are more of a Microsoft. So we don't do our own electrical vehicles, but we partner up with Porsche and Audi in Poland. We're partnering up with Swedish brands in Sweden. They will also be international. We don't do the batteries. We want to take them from those car manufacturers, also taking the second life battery as another process that we think is very important for the environment. So we focus on different parts, and then we have partners coming together. So Tesla is our main competitor. They are like Apple. We are the Microsoft of this.
Thank you very much, Lech. And indeed, I love that analogy, and I think it makes us all really understand that difference and what makes you different from Tesla. And great to see innovators seeking and willing to compete with a giant like Tesla. Really exciting. I have one question, once again, going back to the consumer side. What was the biggest barrier you faced, or maybe if you can tell us a case study of a project which worked out well in the end, but had some issues as you were going along?
So I think actually, since we have created a roof where we have the best price per watt installed, and actually in Sweden or Poland, it's cheaper to have a sunroof than first build a roof and then put a PV installation on top of that, that pricing model seemed to be a little bit too good to be true in the beginning, actually. So we had a lot of customers not thinking this is very new technology, and they don't want to be the first in the market. So I think in the beginning we had actually issues to find early adopters that actually wanted to build the roofs. But then we see as soon as one roof is actually built, all the neighbors are starting to call us and asking what that is and how much is it.
Well, brilliant to see you've gone on from those early adopters to really start scaling up your product. So great, and thank you very much, Lek, for joining us. And we now go to Tunisia, to Africa, and I'm happy to introduce all of you to WattNOW, a startup applying to the demand-side innovation category. Please remember, the chat is open, and we really wanted to hear from you, to take the opportunity that you ask questions to these wonderful innovators. WattNOW, the floor is yours now, and go ahead.
Hello, thank you. So my name is Malik Katala, and I am the Chief Marketing Officer for WattNOW. I'd actually like to start by extending a word of thanks to the SET team for the opportunity to present you WattNOW and what we do. Being the first startup from the Maghreb to be selected among the top 100 energy and mobility startups, it is truly for us an honor and a high standard we genuinely strive to attain. So to start, who are we? WattNOW is an IoT startup which has developed a smart energy management solution designed to help companies and households optimize their energy consumption in order to cut down their energy costs and reduce their carbon footprint. So how do we do it? Actually, it's an easy and straightforward process. We give our clients real-time access to follow their energy consumption and production data, and the whole thing is visualized on a user-friendly online dashboard and mobile app. So technically, to collect the data, we install our smart devices, a WattNOW conceived and produced hardware that gathers all electrical data and sends it to our servers. There, it is processed, analyzed, and organized through our unique machine learning algorithm. This will actually help our clients detect anomaly as they happen and thus reduce maintenance costs. In doing so, we give our clients the opportunity and the means to take full control of their energy consumption and in the same run positively impact their carbon footprint. It is a uniquely integrated, versatile, and easy to install system. And several worldwide companies such as Orange, Carrefour, or Safran have already adopted our solution as their energy management setup. We've actually been doing research and development for the last 5 years and went into market in 2018. Since then, we've seen considerable growth in revenue. 2018 to 2019, we've grown tenfold. And even with the current crisis, we managed to double our sales in 2020. We're now operating in several key sectors, such as telcos, retail, banking, and industries like cement plants, aeronautics, and food production. Currently, we're raising our pre-Series A round, mainly to expand to neighboring markets, such as Sub-Saharan Africa, Europe, and the Middle East. And in that spirit, we're also looking for partners in those regions. So please do get in touch with us. So in short, WattNOW presents to its clients a solution which can adapt to the development of their business growth as a system that scales from the smallest of households to the largest of multi-site companies. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'll be happy to answer questions.
Thank you very much, Malik, for a wonderful presentation and very clear. Very nice to see how you're planning your way forward. And we have a question for you from the audience. And they are saying, can you discuss the business model? What's your business model?
Yeah, sure. So we actually install our solutions through a hardware sale to our clients in B2B. And then we will, actually put a fee, that will subscription in a way that the clients will just continuously, pay. We actually adapt as well specific KPIs, to each industry. So, for instance, we put in data sources like, vapor, temperature, and we try to offer to our different clients the best possible tool for them to always be alert.
Brilliant, Malek. Thank you very much, and definitely super interesting. I have a question for you. So you've been mentioning that you have a business round coming forward, and that you've managed to grow at incredible rate, and despite the pandemic, which is absolutely fabulous, and congratulations. But I was wondering, with that extra funding, in addition to expanding to other geographies like the ones you mentioned, are you planning to launch new products, to do an upgrade to anything of current existing services? What are your plans in terms of product development?
Well, to be precise, we've actually integrated and from the onset a B2B market, and right now we're raising funds to actually accelerate our integration to the B2C market, and to offer to these clients, households, as I said during the presentation, a way for them to manage their energy and will reduce actually their carbon footprint. So that would be the main development.
Brilliant, Malek. Thank you very much. And we now need to move on because we have still a full agenda coming forward. Thank you very much. We go back to the Netherlands, and I'm very pleased to introduce all of you to DEXTER Energies. DEXTER Energies, remember you have 3 minutes. The floor is yours.
Hi there, thanks a lot. I hope you guys still have energy late in the afternoon. So bear with me with the next 3 minutes. My name is Hubert Pen. I am co-founder of DEXTER, and we forecast and optimize energy using artificial intelligence. So the energy transition causes drastic change in electricity markets. And in the past, a select number of fossil-fueled power plants provided electricity for the stable and easily predictable demand base. Now, renewable power only flows when the sun is shining or the wind is blowing. And in addition, demand is becoming more and more complex. So to compete successfully in this new playing field, large-scale providers of renewable electricity must anticipate the ever-changing weather and market conditions. For example, during the Texas freeze this winter in 2021, wind power outages led to record spot prices and a loss of 200 to 500 million euros for just one utility in a few days. And this could have been prevented with advanced forecasting and the optimizing of flexible assets. So this example shows that management of portfolio and price risk for utilities is becoming a top priority for energy companies. The energy transition, with its increased complexity and volatility, will lead to more impact on profitability than ever before. And DEXTER Energy helps to reduce those uncertainties inherent to the transition. With our AI-powered software platform, DEXTER Energy predicts energy supply and demand as well as market movements, allowing our clients to optimize their renewable electricity production and trading. And we are building the modern cockpit for portfolio managers, where on one hand, we will be providing an autopilot that ensures automated machine learning-based trading for smooth sailing. But on the other hand, in adverse market situations, like during the Texas freeze, we provide the portfolio managers who are becoming the pilots who are in control in these situations, a highly accurate forecast, crucial analytics, and key market and weather views to have all relevant information at hand to literally navigate the utilities through challenging weather storms. We are proud of where we stand today. We are a team of 15 data scientists, have shown a 3.5 times year-on-year revenue growth in the last 2 years. And we achieved this by helping more than 20 customers like Axpo and Engie and in the Benelux, Germany and UK, by saving them up to 50% of costs that are related to the short-term price fluctuations. We want to expand our services from our current markets into Europe in the next 12 months. And that's why we just raised our Series A fund round last week. We want to tackle this problem worldwide. And we are basically looking for companies, utilities who want to investigate whether we can help them basically make the energy transition more affordable in the future. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Hubert. Very, very interesting, and certainly you're feeling a big need there, right? In particular, I speak from Colombia, where our weather patterns have changed so much in the past years, and our energy sector is always on so much stress because of bad forecasting. That this certainly could be a big solution. I was wondering, given so interesting solution and how you've grown, where did you start? Where did the idea come? Can you tell us a bit on your process as to how DEXTER Energy was formed?
Yeah, so we started 4 years ago with the idea of building an imbalance price forecast, which is basically the most real-time price forecast that you have, with the idea to use flexible assets to ramp down in case of high prices and ramp up in case of very low prices. So basically the idea was to better match moments of high prices and a lot of sun and wind on the grid with high consumption and the other way around. And what we very quickly realized is you don't only need the demand side, but you actually need a smart interplay between the supply side and the demand side. And that's why we didn't only start to build price forecasts, but also build load forecasts to basically see when there is a offset in supply and demand coming, leading to more prices. And if you want to do this right, you don't only need price or volume, but you actually need both to take into account to basically mix that into an optimized portfolio strategy. And that's basically what we are doing today.
Thank you very much, Hubert. And I think we now need to move on because we've took our time for the questions section as well, more than 2 minutes. But thank you very much, very interesting. And we continue with a very, very exciting round. We now go to Austria. We continue to be in Europe, and I'm very pleased to introduce you to GLEAM Technologies. And GLEAM, the floor is yours. And remember, you have 3 minutes. Just before you start, a small recap to the audience. Please, we invite you to participate. Don't be shy and go into the chat and ask us your questions. Thank you very much, GLEAM. And now the floor is truly yours.
Hi, my name is Mario. I'm one of the founders and the CEO of GLEAM. And the energy industry is moving closer and closer to the mobility industry. And everybody's talking about electric vehicles, but what they really mean is electric cars. But let's look at the numbers, what customers really buy. And alone in 2020, in Germany alone, 2 million e-bikes were sold. And that's more than electric cars all over Europe. And everybody's now going into that direction because customers love it. Even a brand like Harley-Davidson is building e-bikes. And we as GLEAM go the next step in the evolution. We created a new e-bike category, the multi-use bike. And we combine the best from mountain bike features and cargo bike features. So it's like a normal bike. It drives like a normal bike, and it's easy and fun to drive. It looks cool and has a unique and robust design, because it also can load up to 120 kilos, but you can still ride it on a bike lane because it's a pedelec up to 25 kilometers an hour. But what sets us apart from the competitors is our unique dynamic tilting technology. We integrate full suspension, so in the front and in the rear side, and the leaning technology, so you lean into corners like with a normal two-wheeler, but you have the stability of a three-wheeler, even on slippery roads in winter or during rain, which gives you an advantage also when going up to 45 kilometers an hour, which is our next step, a speed pedelec. And what we bring to the market in 2021 is a flex system. So you always have the flexibility to change the superstructures. That means our customers from logistics or retail, so to deliver food or groceries or packages, can use it as well as in the private case, so to pick up the kids from kindergarten to go to a picnic. And we have customers that use it for both, so during the week for their business and on the weekend for their private use. But you always have an industrialized vehicle with a battery swap solution. So you can use it 24/7 in the operations, and you don't have to park it and load it for 2 hours, 3 hours with no efficiency. And that makes us more efficient than any other electric vehicle, up to 30% less cost during operations. We have already started the pre-series production in 2020, 6 months ago, and in that time we made over 500,000 euros in revenue, and we are ready to scale because our awesome team has already experience in developing motorcycles, like for BMW or Ducati, and our marketing guru has scaled Red Bull from 1 country to 125 countries. Go now to gleam-bikes.com and buy your multi-use bike.
Thank you very much. And what a great startup, and so exciting to see these new technologies, and really taking the e-mobility to another step is wonderful. So I've been wondering, what are your geographical expansion plans? Because I see regions like Asia, like Latin America, which have very high urbanization rates, and where the transport question is still a big question, right? Where there's no real solutions, and I feel there's lots of potential for bikes like these to really fill that gap. So it would be great if you could tell us a bit on what are your geographical expansion plans.
We wanted to focus on the DACH region because we are from Austria, but we then said focusing on DACH and Benelux. But now we got sales in 9 European countries, and we get requests from every continent in the world. We did ship bikes to Australia, we did ship bikes to Brazil, and we get a lot of requests from the United States. So we will focus this year still mainly with our sales efforts on Europe, but we will expand in the next year also to the United States. So in 2022, it will be available in North and South American continent. And we hope we can ship from Europe also to every other country in the next year. But really our focus is in Europe right now.
Brilliant, Mario. Thank you very much. And I was wondering, have you had any interaction with utilities, with big companies, energy companies who are surely interested in e-mobility and e-bikes? Do you work closely with them? What's your approach to them?
Yes, we do work because of our battery swap system. They can store in a local battery pack the energy that is surpassed maybe from wind or solar energy. And we just use that as a battery swap solution for our bikes. And that's the close relation where we work together with the energy industry. So renewable energy and electric bikes like the GLEAM multi-use bike is really the best combination in the future of CO2 reduction.
Indeed, Mario, I do think that that combination has a huge potential. And once again, we see this cross-cutting between energy, mobility, transport, and many other sectors, right? And how that's going to really make a difference in this energy transition, in decarbonizing what has usually been a very hard to decarbonize sector, which is mobility. So thank you very much, Mario, and congratulations.
Thanks as well.
Very, very interesting. And it was a pleasure having you. So we now go to Germany, and I'm very pleased to introduce you to WLE Innovation Hub. The floor is yours now. You have 3 minutes, and a final ask for the audience. Don't be shy, ask us more questions. The floor is yours, WLE Innovation Hub.
Hi, Christina. Thanks for the opportunity to present. So my name is Paul, and I'm the co-founder of the We Love Energy label. Did you actually know that our energy consumption makes up to 25% of the global GHG emissions? Well, in order to meet the 1.5% target set out by the Paris Agreement, we quickly need to start increasing the use of renewable energy. And switching to a renewable energy tariff is something where we can start with on a personal level. We at We Love Energy push the transition towards renewable energy with a transparent and interactive renewable energy label that is designed to create sustainable impact and encourage consumers to go green. So who are we doing this for? Well, over recent years, consumers have become more and more aware of their choices, and the demand for sustainable alternatives has grown tremendously, whether it is organic food or our means of transport. We as consumers are constantly challenged with making a good choice. Energy is something that we cannot see, taste, and in our case, should not feel. So here we are, challenged again, this time with identifying a good renewable energy tariff. But let's look on the other side as well, where we have the utility companies. They operate in price-dominated and competitive market environments, which are reflected in high customer acquisition costs and churn rates. So their challenge is to communicate the added value of their energy tariff and making it visible. So what does Wheel of Energy do to solve these problems? We label energy tariffs and help consumers to easily identify them. But before being able to offer a Wheel of Energy labeled tariff, every utility has to comply with our renewable energy standard. This standard has been developed with an independent auditor, and its compliance is independently monitored on an annual basis. Wheel of Energy is a license-based model, which means for every megawatt hour sold, the utility pays a fee. With these fees, we operate an online platform for consumers that enables them to direct the impact of their renewable energy tariff. So you might ask yourself, how are we doing this? Well, we put the consumer behind the steering wheel. Wheel of Energy additionally finance sustainable projects which assist the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals on a national and local scale. So we specifically look to support sustainable solutions that can be implemented in everyday life, therefore multiplying the sustainable effect and creating something much more relatable for the consumer. This means the consumer can now start seeing, tasting, and maybe even feeling the actual impact again. Whether a project is funded or not is in the hands of the community. So everyone has a say, and we democratically decide which projects create most added value for the community. So to wrap it up, the support of sustainable projects leads into a strong price-independent USP for the utility, an extremely transparent product for the consumer, whilst supporting sustainable projects and driving the energy transition. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul, and very interesting to see these from Wheel of Energy. And we have a question from the audience. They are asking if you can talk about the availability of the label. Where is it currently and where will it be available? Is it national or an international label?
So we actually just went live beginning of 2021. We started with 3 utilities here in Germany and are already supplying about 5,000 households. But we're planning to grow within the DACH region first. So our aim is to hit the 100,000 household goal by the end of this year, and then start expanding within the European market end of this year, beginning next year.
Thank you very much, Paul. And I would like to ask you for that expansion, how are you going to finance yourself? Are there any plans on the future coming for funding rounds or anything?
At the moment, we're completely self-financed. So we bootstrapped the entire project. But we are currently looking for financing. So we have our eyes and ears open. And we'll probably start looking into investors the coming weeks and months.
Well, very good luck, very much luck with that. And I'm sure it will be a great success, and congratulations on a great innovation. We now need to move on. Thank you very much, Paul. It was a pleasure having you here. And we now need to move on because time is pressing and we still have many interesting startups to come. And we now move to France to hear from TRANISTION-ONE, a startup working on the smart and clean mobility category. TRANISTION-ONE, the floor is yours. You have 3 minutes.
Hello all. I'm really happy to be there. I'm Henrik Libaud, and I'm the founder of TRANISTION-ONE. We are in a climate emergency, and we have to involve most of people to change something in our behaviors. In the mobility domain, a small car emits 1 ton of CO2 for 10,000 kilometers. How can we reduce massively and rapidly this amount of CO2 emissions? The problem is on the car. It's not on the car. It's on the engine, on the ICE engine. What we propose, what we could do with that, we can change only the engine to convert a car, thermal car, into electric car. This is what we make at TRANISTION-ONE. we transform, we convert, we retrofit small thermal cars into modern cars. Electric, connected, and affordable. So we change the car, we change the engine, and we replace it by our own powertrain, and the same powertrain for a lot of models. And we design an industrial process to change this engine in 4 hours. This is an emergency, so we have to change in a short time. Because at the end, there is affordable. Of course, if we change the engine of the car with the same price of a new car, that's not possible. It's a right way because we emit less CO2 instead of to create a new car. So we are in the context to propose to the clients the convert the car less than 10,000 euros. Of course, in different countries, if you reduce with local subsidies for electric car, in France, for example, we will reach 5,000 euros to convert your car. This product is the target is for the B2C and for the B2E administration and for the B2B, and we will deploy in Europe a local authorized partner with a professional from automotive from garage to change that locally close to clients. So the retrofit is a real solution to avoid a disaster, ecological disaster, if we only think to change with a new car. So the retrofit could be a solution for electric car for all. Thanks for your attention. Questions?
Thank you very much, and very interesting to see this retrofit business. Apologies, I had a small delay on my internet connection, but it seems to be now stable. What a great innovation, and I do have a question for you, and it is regarding the adoption and the decision behind consumers to really make the call and say, okay, instead of buying a new car, which is electric or internal combustion engine, why would I take the decision to do the retrofit? Have you found any barriers? What do you think is the motivator behind customers to really make the call for a retrofit?
Yeah, in fact, 1 year ago, I would not explain the same thing 1 year ago, because since 1 year last year, the client changed. At the beginning of the crisis, the number of requests changed quickly because the people said, okay, we need to change, to make better, and better as new, better as we made. And it's a really big change for us. And the profiles of the people is changed. Young people say, how can continue to use my car, but with a different ICE, and there is a lot of people at the moment. We've got 7,000, around 7,000 people really interested to change their car. Of course, there is big cars, small cars, and we are dedicated on the small cars.
Thank you very much, and indeed, I agree with you. I think the perception is changing. I think with this all race to zero talk coming to COP, climate change is becoming a real preoccupation. And as you say, to young people, this is something that's really changing the way they make decisions on what to buy and how to invest their money. So yeah, this is a big change and a good change, I guess, because we need to make ourselves, we need to reach for prosperity, but as well for climate neutrality. So thank you very much. Very interesting, and good luck with your startup on the coming years and challenges, but certainly there's lots of space to grow there. So we now go on from France to Asia, and I'm very pleased to introduce all of you to Science for Society Techno Services, a startup from India. S4S, as they call themselves. The floor is yours, and you have 3 minutes to tell us about your business.
Everyone, my name is Nidhi and I'm the co-founder of S4S Technologies. S4S stands for Science for Society. In developing countries, food worth USD $13 billion is wasted every year. In India alone, before the food reaches the market, 40% of it is lost due to storage, handling, transportation, and sometimes just due to the appearance of it. And at the same time, the farmers who produce this do not find the right price for their produce. Due to the perishable nature of the produce, sometimes the transportation cost is greater than the value of the produce. This is the B and C grade produce, which is cosmetically defected, but has the same nutrition and and also has just some cosmetic defects. At S4S, we convert these farm losses to value-added products using our solar-powered dehydrated systems, giving an assured additional income to these women farmers. How do we do this? We install the dehydrators at the farm. We provide them with the raw material, the B and C grade produce, which would have gone wasted. The farmers convert this using the technology, and we buy back the produce and sell this as food, these produce, which is now non-perishable, as food ingredients to a food and beverage industry. We have more than 700 customers in 3 to 4 cities in India. And these include large food packaged, large FMCG companies, and also small hotel, restaurant, catering industry. Using this, we reduce the food wastage at the source, because we are producing it, we are processing it where it is produced, beverage industry. Most of these farmers are landless women farmers who are dependent on rain-fed agriculture, and their men in the family usually migrate to cities in search of alternate income. So now the woman is the winner of the family, and she directly goes in her hand. We have more than 2,500 installations in 15 countries and 360 women farmers in our buyback scheme, through which we provide the market linkage. We reduce 13,500 tons of food from getting wasted. We're growing at 10% month on month with a monthly revenue of $250,000 US. We have raised our pre-series A round and are looking to raise our series A of $5 million. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nidhi. I think we're having an issue with the sound. Let's give her just a few seconds to see if we're able to fix it. Indeed, in these Corona times, we all need to deal with these connection issues, which are always a nightmare, but they're part of life now. Let's give her 15 more seconds, and if not, we will need to move on. But certainly very interesting to see this startup from India working once again on this interaction between energy and other sectors, in particular here with the agriculture and food production sector of the economy. Very, very interesting. So I think there's still problems here with the technology. So for the benefit of time and everyone hearing us, let's move on to the next startup. And once again, forgive me for my bad pronunciation. I don't know how to properly say it, but I'm very pleased to welcome Geyser Batteries OY from Finland. They have, of course, applied to the energy distribution and storage category. And welcome, the floor is yours, and you have 3 minutes for your pitch.
Sure. Thank you, Christina. Hi, I'm Andrei Shagayev, Geyser Batteries. We're a Finnish startup, and we're doing high-power batteries. So this is a different class of batteries, very unique, and it's addressing a market of high-power, high-cycling applications. So it's different from the market that is addressed by lithium-ion, which is storage of energy, and we are more like high-power buffer for energy efficiency. And problems in this space are really acute. And that's the reason why we don't see a lot of heavy machinery electrified, for example. This is our proprietary, unique, non-lithium electrochemistry. It combines two storage methods, a supercapacitor and a battery, essentially in the same cell, in the same device. And by this combination, we end up in a device that keeps all the best unique qualities of supercaps, like super high power, millions of charge-discharge cycles, but now with up to 5 times higher energy density, and do so at a low cost basis. This innovation stems from over 25 years of development and mass production of supercapacitors by our team. And we have managed to add now battery qualities to supercapacitors. As before, this technology is based on aqueous or water-based electrolytes, which is a solution of choice if you want to build really fire-safe batteries, but also this use of aqueous water-based electrolytes allows us to have very simple manufacturing methods. So these devices are produced at very low capex and low carbon footprint, which has been recently confirmed by our work with BETD, Finnish National Research Center. We're a 25 people team supported by deep tech funds and the family office, and of course by the Finnish national funding bodies. And this year we are raising another financing round to launch now pilot production line for high volume automated manufacturing to scale up our product development and sales. And this work, it builds upon our traction along both directions. In the manufacturing, we have completed the prototype of high volume cells assembly node this year, actually end of last year. We had to engineer it ourselves because technology is absolutely unique. And also we have completed prototype device, actually stands behind me here on the table for hybrid heavy machinery. We also agreed on 2 proof of concepts with utility companies, so we're going into a stationary market big time as well. Last year, our work has received strong tailwinds from the EU battery regulation, which speaks about low carbon footprint batteries, durable batteries, and batteries that are easy to recycle. So keep an eye on us and let's get together on this journey towards sustainable electrification. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Andre, and certainly very interesting. As we've been speaking before, I do believe storage is really a game changer for the energy transition, and it's going to be very, very important. I was wondering, how do you see your company in 5 and 10 years' time? What are your targets? Where do you want to be by then?
Great question. We are launching this automated manufacturing ourselves, so we need to develop the manufacturing method. We will still be manufacturing devices by ourselves at sort of medium scale level, but we will be licensing the technology, and it is a licensing that will make us a billion-worth company.
Excellent, and seems you have it very clear, moving not only from manufacturing, but also involving licensing of technology, and that's how you see yourself growing. What has been now I'm going to the past, what has been the greatest challenge in this process? It seems like you've really managed to crack many things in the process, and that you have a really efficient manufacturing process, as you say, because it's a unique product. So in that whole process, from the initial idea you had to where you are, what's the biggest challenge you faced and how did you overcome it?
Well, the biggest challenge that we have been solving recently was automating manufacturing of these devices, because we're dealing with, although it's very abundant and materials that we buy in bulk, still they have not been used for that particular application, and handling them in an automated high-speed way was really challenging. So we were very lucky to bring into our team like engineers specifically sort of with the specific experience in scale-up manufacturing, and we succeeded with that.
Well, that's great. And indeed, it is the people behind all these companies and ideas that make the difference, right? And that allow you to grow and to overcome many of these challenges. So thank you very much, Andre, and congratulations. Very interesting. It was a pleasure having you with us. So we now go to the United States, and we have a startup which made it to the finalists as well on the Quality Energy Access and SDG 7 category. And I'm very happy to introduce all of you to Nithio. Nithio, the floor is yours, and you have 3 minutes.
Excellent, thank you. So hi everyone, I'm Kate Steele. I'm the COO and co-founder of Nithio, and Nithio aims to solve energy access by unlocking financing at scale. And we intend to do that through our innovative energy financing platform, which is powered by our advanced data analytics. So I think we're all familiar with the problem of energy access and how great the problem is. 1 billion people worldwide and 600 million people in Africa lacking access. There is a solution. There are a lot of energy access technologies that work pretty well, that fit those basic electricity needs. And by our estimate, there are actually, of those 600 million people in Africa, about half have the ability to pay for a system, especially if it's financed. So this is a market that should be growing. There's a technology that works. There's a demand for the products and ability to pay for them. And it's really not scaling. And we see as the problem of why it's not scaling is a lack of information about household ability to pay and household and credit risk. And so when operators or distributors are selling solar home systems or other energy technologies, they really don't have good visibility about how that money is going to come back, how those finance systems are going to be repaid. And if they don't understand that, investors certainly don't. And we think this is keeping a lot of capital out of the market. So Nithio's solution is to provide that information, to be able to understand household repayment patterns. And that's not just with the goal of unlocking private capital and crowding in private investment, but also being able to be an efficient platform for deploying not just commercial capital, but also grants and philanthropic capital, making sure that there's the right type of capital to reach every last mile consumer. We truly want to reach everyone. So our product it's a data-driven energy financing platform. We're delivering an alternative credit assessment for all households in Africa that can be used. Both we use it internally for our own investments that we make in energy access companies, but also for any investors in the space. We really want to create a standard for how you assess risk. How we do that we have an AI-driven model that's trained with both geospatial data that we have on all households, as well as repayments data that we bring in from our clients who are in the distribution space. The output of that is a predictive model that can tell us really what those repayment patterns are going to look like. They can be highly customized for different consumer segments, product types, and timelines. This is something we can do with greater than 90% accuracy already, and it should only get better from there. So the impact of this, we hope to de-risk investment in the space to truly unlock capital at scale for energy financing in Africa. We absolutely believe that SDG 7 is achievable by 2030, but we need everyone to do their part. And we're looking for additional investors, partners, companies to lend to. And we think together we can solve this problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kate, and what an inspiring presentation. And indeed, it brings us back to all these discussions we've been having about how the consumer, the end user, is at the center of the energy sector, right? We can speak all about supply, all about technologies, but if we do not understand that consumer, they are useless. In the end, energy is at the service of humans and for our societies. So very interesting to see how you're making this concept a reality and how you're looking into it by understanding consumers and how really that flow is coming and how capacity to pay is a big issue, right? It's not only about access, being connected, having access to the technology, but being able to pay for it. So super interesting. I have a question. So are you planning or looking at expanding beyond just basic access? So to use the platform to go beyond just the basic access in rural communities, but to go to quality access area?
Absolutely. And we actually serve the entire market now. Yes, we're interested in basic access, but also our models can work with, and we've already done work with productive use appliances, with clean cooking, which is a significant need. Working on how we integrate with microgrids. But honestly, even our models can be used for even looking at better ways to finance grid connections. It's really about how to understand energy demands and ability to pay. And that's really across the board.
Thank you, Kate, and very interesting to see you're looking into that. Is there maybe anything interesting you would like to share with us that you have learned from really looking at consumers that maybe surprised you, that's something you wouldn't expect, that's not something one says, okay, this is a typical thing from a consumer. Is there any insight you would be able to share with us?
Sure. I think there's, and maybe this would be obvious to some people, but we've been really interested to see yes, there are things that correlate to repayment patterns, such as asset ownership or income levels, education levels. But we are already seeing impacts of climate change. And you can see areas that have greater variability in precipitation impacts ability to pay if you have a lot of the incomes based on agriculture. So I think that's one of the things we find really interesting, is that we can identify not only the kind of top customers, but also the ones that have particular vulnerabilities, and make sure we're directing funding to those customers as well. So that's really where we talk about this efficient deployment of capital, to make sure that you're not just going after the highest repayers, but you're actually figuring out financing that can address the entire market.
Brilliant, Kate. So thank you so much, and very interesting to see Nithio filling this gap. And also, as we always say, there's no scarce capital. The capital's there. We just need to use it efficiently. And I think Nithio is bringing an interesting solution there. So thank you very much for joining us. We now need to move on. And from the United States, we go on to Hungary, to a startup named HeatVentures, and working in a different sector that we've not spoken of today. So HeatVentures, the floor is yours. You have 3 minutes for your pitch.
Thank you very much. Hi, my name is Rita, CEO and co-founder of HeatVentures, and I would like to introduce our solution, Heat Tank, the new generation of thermal energy storage systems, which saves energy, money, and space. Traditionally, heat is stored by changing the temperature of the water. Instead of water, we use special biomaterials called phase change materials. And by changing the phase, like melting and solidification, we can reduce storage volume by 90%, save at least 20 to 50% energy, with a total return on investment within 3 to 5 years. You can imagine our technology as a huge ice cube, because you know when you put ice in your drink, it cools it down really fast and it stays cool for a long time. HeatVentures products are patented, customizable, yet scalable, thanks to our algorithm and flexible manufacturers. Compared to the water storage, Heat Tank is smaller in size and usable for cooling as well. And compared to the other phase change storages, Heat Tank is more efficient, thanks to the patented structure, and we have faster return on investment. Our product consists of 3 parts. We have a patented structure, and we manufacture it with an international manufacturer. For the different phase change materials, we have many different suppliers from Europe and from Asia for the different materials. But we are always working with materials which are safe for the environment, not toxic, and not dangerous in an energy system. The hardware and software parts of the control system is also patented and made by us. Our product is usable to store the heating and the cooling energy as well, but our main target segments are data centers, telecommunication sites, and commercial buildings, because in these fields, the cooling is a very big, urgent, and only partially solved problem. For existing systems, we offer efficient cooling solution, energy saving, and cost reduction. When the efficiency of the cooling system is high, we generate more cooling energy, store it, and when the efficiency is bad, we can use the pre-stored energy. Also, we can use the price difference between peak and off-peak periods and free cooling. Heat Tank can increase the operation safety, because in case of a blackout, the cooling system needs 4 to 6 minutes to restart, and with our storage, we can cover this period. In case of a new system, we have additional benefits by reducing the initial costs. With our storage for peak performance management, we are able to reduce the size of the cooling unit by 30%, which means the price reduce in the whole chain, including electric cables. In peak time, the additional needs are covered by Heat Tank, and in off-peak periods, energy saving is still possible. We already have 4 working systems, 2 for data center cooling and 1 for gas engine heat recovery here in Hungary, and 1 for a district heating system in Italy. And the average return on investment is 3.5 years. Also, we have 2 additional systems under installation, 1 in Hungary for office building cooling and 1 in Indonesia for hotel building cooling. And Heat Tank, the cool way to store heat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rita. It's a pleasure to have you with us, and very, very interesting to see how you're working in one of the sectors which is hardest to decarbonize, right? And it's heating. And that has a lot of challenges, and of course, we always speak about as one of the biggest focus areas where we need to work on. So tell me a bit about what is the greatest challenges the greatest challenge you've faced in this process of going. You were by the end telling us a bit about your customers, and what was the challenge from the idea that you had to being able to get your product into customers?
Mm-hmm. So the biggest challenge is that our biggest challenge and our biggest benefit is that our product is innovative and a new generation of thermal energy storage, which means that there are only we on the market. But the challenge is that our customers are not familiar with this technology, and we have to educate the market.
Yeah, indeed. Once again, we come back to the customers and how that education of the market is super important. What are your plans of growth? Are you planning to go to other countries, to other regions? What's your plan there?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we already stepped to the Hungarian and to the neighboring countries on the market. And in 2021, we will focus on the European market. In 2022, we will focusing on the Asian market, and then we will go to America as well.
Well, Rita, thank you very much and good luck with those expansions, and hope to see you down here in Colombia in a couple of years with your product. It was a pleasure having you, and now we need to move on to the next startup because time is catching up with us. And we go to Slovakia with a very interesting startup named AgeVolt. The floor is yours, AgeVolt. Remember, you have 3 minutes, and audience, please, we encourage you to participate and send questions. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Hope you're doing good during this pandemic situation, and I'm really looking forward to present you our innovative e-mobility solution in the next 3 minutes. My name is Ivan Lindovský, and I'm a co-founder of AgeVolt, Slovak e-mobility startup founded in 2019. Our main mission is to accelerate the mass e-mobility adoption and liberate the EV users and EV charger owners. At the moment, there are two main problems that e-mobility adoption faces, and we are looking to address. First is that there is a lack of sufficient charging infrastructure available, and the reason why is that, or one of the reasons why, is that 2/3 of all EV chargers are privately owned, and the rest is divided between the charging platforms and service providers. And the second problem is that we have now a certain grid capacity, and increased EV charging will result in a peak demand surge for the grid. If you look on the right side of our slide, you can see that our solution to this problem is a comprehensive EV charging digital ecosystem, which comprise of 3 distinct but integrated products. Smart EV chargers that can work with the grid, battery, photovoltaic sources, and are suitable for residential, commercial, and public charging. Proprietary energy management system with dynamic load balancing, energy optimization, and can also manage multiple chargers on a single site. And last, the digital platform, which is powered by blockchain, and that offers peer-to-peer EV charger sharing, different lifestyle products, and facilitates the energy exchange. In the middle, you can see our value proposition. The goal is to become a one-stop e-mobility platform for all EV users and EV charger owner needs, which will give the option to share the EV chargers with the public, also to the people that otherwise wouldn't be able to do it, that enable energy efficiency and optimization, and also facilitates the energy exchange. So for who is our solution? It's for all EV users that are at the heart of our solution and the digital platform, as well as the EV charger owners across the different sectors, like commercial sectors, like retail, hotel, restaurants, workplaces, such as offices, businesses, distribution centers, and residentials, like housing developments, households, apartments. So what we are trying to do is we are really making the EV charging as convenient and accessible as possible, whilst achieving dynamic energy distribution. Thank you very much for your attention. Hope you enjoyed my presentation.
Thank you very much, Ivan, and we certainly enjoyed it. It's wonderful to see how you're trying to address that so-called chicken and egg problem with the charging and EVs, right? That people don't have EVs because there's no charging, but then there's no charging because there's not enough critical mass of EV owners. So really interesting on how you're making existing infrastructure to be more accessible to everyone, to be able to overcome these, right? I was wondering, where do you consider you are at the moment? Because I think the success of this kind of business is through the amount of users, right, and the amount of owners of chargers and so on who get on board. So do you think you are right now at the early adopters, or have you been able to break that barrier? If so, how did you break it? Or if not, how are you planning to break that early adopters barrier to truly become?
I would say that we are one of the early adopters, because at the moment, I think that people were, the e-mobility is now like really expanding radically, and there must the change must come, because it's not really financially viable, energy sustainable. How is the EV or e-mobility moving? So for this reason, we came with this idea of EV charging digital ecosystem and a one-stop platform for all EV users, because we know that there are already like hardware producers, EV charger networks, cloud platforms, but nobody actually is connecting them together. And this is what we want to do. We want to really create this ecosystem where we integrate all the players on the market and open it for collaboration. So we are not kind of trying to compete, I would say this way. We really try to help e-mobility to grow and to show the people that the e-mobility is not or will be not a pain point, but it can become a benefit for us.
Thank you very much, Ivan. And indeed, I think that's the key thing, right? Getting customers to understand the potential of these. And this brings us once again to customers, to the energy sector, mobility sector, having people, society in the end, and being the center of it. So thank you very much, Ivan. We need to now move forward because we're a bit caught up on time. And we will now go on. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you. We will now move on to Brazil to hear from a startup called MilenioBus, one startup applying as well to the smart and clean mobility category, but with a very different approach. So Milenio, the floor is yours. Why don't you take the lead and take us through your company? Welcome.
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity. Well, we are MilenioBus, so we are a real-time ridership analytics for public transport operations. So basically what that means is that we are a company that it can get the number of the flow of every public transport in real time. How did we get into this solution? Basically, the number of complainings on the public transport, 90% to be more accurate, is about the vehicle getting too long to get into the bus stop, for example, or that the vehicle is too overcrowded. And even now in COVID-19, that is even more a problem that is overcrowded, because it can transmit more the virus. So what happened was we had insight that we had to develop a way to measure the number of passengers in real time and automatically. So we developed a camera called the Smart Flow, which is the black box right there. You guys are seeing it. And this camera, I'm gonna show. I have one right here. It's installed like this. It's quite simple. We just install it on the middle of the bus, on the roof, and it can get the number of passengers sitting on the bus, the number of passengers that are standing, and the number of empty seats. So with this information, we can get a whole BI of the bus. We can get a lot of analytics of people demands, and which time the demand occurs. If it's more when it rains, or does the demand is less when it's, for example, when it's cold, the demand is lower. how is the demand of the people's flow. So with all this information, we provide information for the bus company. So the bus company knows if the bus needs to be more vehicles or less vehicles in real time. So they manage in real time their fleets. And also we have an app for the passengers, so they can see in real time on their cell phones if the bus is coming and if it's full or empty. So they can decide if they get the full bus or if they wait for an empty bus later. So there's decisions all parts of decisions, and we also have 15 to 20% more efficiency on the bus fleets. That's something that we put into the roads, and we saw it. 15 to 20% of more efficiency. So it's really a good thing. We have now 15 buses, and we're starting to expand it on Brazil now on the next months. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Marcel, and indeed very interesting how you're taking this approach to smart mobility, right? Being Latin American, I feel how the inefficiency of some of our systems really leads to wasted resources, and really the way we transport ourselves needs to be thought of very smartly. I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about your business model. How does it work? Is it who are your major customers?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, we have a monthly fee based on the number of buses. So, for example, there are some companies that has 10 buses. We have a monthly fee for 10 buses, and it's a monthly fee with a at least 12 months contract. So this monthly fee, we pay the hardware, we pay our employees, and we pay every maintenance that is need to be on the buses. So basically, it's a monthly fee solution.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Marcel. And what about your future plans? Where do you want to be in 5 or 10 years?
Well, since this market is new and since the pandemics, nobody is focused about it too on this way we're speaking right now. We want to expand globally on next year. The next year we want to expand globally. And on 5 years, we want to be a reference on the whole world of people counting in buses. So that's our plan here. It's a really how can I say that? It's really a moonshot, but I think we can get it.
Thank you very much, Marcel, and very lots of luck with that moonshot expectation. I'm sure there's potential for it. And it was a pleasure having you with us. We now need to move on, and we're now getting close to the end. Unfortunately, it has been really interesting and enlightening to hear from all these entrepreneurs and innovators. But happily, we still got a few more to go, and we will now move on to the United States. And I'm very pleased to introduce you to Titan Advanced Energy Solutions. Titan, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Christina. It's been our pleasure to participate and listen to such great startups from all over the world, and it's been just fun. So I'm Sean Murphy. I'm one of the co-founders of the company. We started almost 5 years ago. And the whole premise of the start of the company was to use second life batteries out of the EVs that are prevailing right now, because every single battery that comes out of an electric vehicle has another 30 to 40% state of health, and you can use it for about another 8 years. It reduces in range, but you can use it for schools, hospitals, energy storage devices. But the problem why that did not happen is the process of measuring the remaining capacity usually takes about 2 or 3 days. And because you need to discharge it, charge it through cyclers, and the infrastructure was very expensive. So we were thinking, how do we build an inexpensive, affordable system that can be used all over the world very quickly? So we came up with the solution of using ultrasound. And our device that you see in the bottom right corner is a tabletop device that basically is very small, it's portable, and it will be leased out to recyclers and EV OEMs and other people. It's a pay-per-scan basis. And instead of using a 3-day diagnostic tool, which you need technicians, a lot of electricians, you just plug it into the electricity and it gives you the result in about 10 seconds. With a 1% error rate. And that we already signed up Toyota, we already signed up Nissan, Renault, we're working with PSA or Stellantis. So that's in Europe. We're opening up an office right now in south of France. Of course, where else are you gonna go? You're gonna go to southern France. Good climate and wine. So that's on that side. But a couple of years ago, we discovered that this technology can be used directly into the automotive inside of the system. Actually, one of the OEMs asked to do that. So we are building this technology for automotive systems and stationary storage systems in large, like commercial and residential. And that's the reason Schneider Electric, which is a French company, invested in us, and we're building residential stationary storage system using used EVs. So we are making the circular economy possible and reducing the battery price from $150 a kilowatt hour to about 40. So it's really pushing the envelope.
Great, Sean, thank you very much, and very, very interesting. I think this startup really makes honor to the theme of this year's Startup Energy Transition Award, which is circular economy, and really expanding that lifespan of certain products like batteries does make a contribution. So definitely congratulations, and seeing how much you've been growing and now you're present in different countries around the world is certainly amazing. I wanted to ask you about your funding. How are you funded? Are you planning funding rounds in the coming future? Tell us a bit about that.
18 months ago, we got funded by Schneider Electric and EIC and the Massachusetts Clean Energy Council. That was for $10 million. We get a lot of grants from the Department of Energy, Department of Defense, because a lot of these things are really, really required to understand, because for all practical purposes, what we're doing a real-time ultra scan of the battery. So instead of inferencing, so you're getting like a CT scan of a battery 24/7. So for safety, it's very important. We're going through a B round right now because we plan to scale into consumer electronics markets. We're planning in ESS markets. All these things require a lot more capital. So from everything we will look, we will close our B round by this summer, and then probably in 2-3 years after that, probably go IPO. It's a good chance. If we just execute on the projects we have, we do very well.
Great, Sean. And indeed, if you're getting $10 million and you're now on your round B, that sounds very promising. Even if companies the size and the importance of Schneider Electric are going into it, and as you say, this is also a defense and a security issue. It sounds all very promising, and I want to congratulate you. We unfortunately don't have time for a second questions because time is pressing on, but it was a pleasure having you with us, Sean, and good luck with everything and all the challenges coming. And I'm now moving on to a new startup from Germany. It is called Solytic. So Solytic, welcome, and you have 3 minutes for your pitch.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm Konrad, Managing Director and co-founder from Solytic, and our mission is to automate top performance for solar PV. We like data and solar and top performance. So today there are around 20 to 25 million PV assets all around the world. By 2050, we will have around 1 billion. So it's not just about the volume, but also about the performance of each single plant. And that's where we come in. We connect to the plants via some kind of data push. We have satellite data, external data, benchmark data, and so on. that we put in our cloud to find some kind of issues and potentials within each system. So we supply some kind of monitoring and AI analytics tool to our users. And whenever we find an issue or potential, we forward it to the user and try to find a solution, which can be maintenance, cleaning, insurance, storage, and so on. So that's our business model in a nutshell. Today, we have 130,000 assets connected with 2.5 gigawatt peak. We are 33 employees in Berlin. We have EWE and Vattenfall as investors. And we have raised around 7 million so far, and we are about to go into Series B sometime of the end of the year or early next year. Thanks for having me, and I'm ready for your questions.
Thank you very much, Conrad. It's a pleasure for us to have you here. I wanted to ask, what's the greatest challenge you have faced in the process of growing your startup?
Well, when you develop some kind of monitoring for PV assets, your customers think long-term. So they want to sign maybe like 5-year contracts. But if you are only a startup that is only 3.5 years old, that can be tricky sometimes. And that's why it's a huge benefit to have energy utilities such as EWE and Vattenfall as investors, because then you can play this card to make sure that, you know, we will be there for the entire contract. But it can be challenging sometimes, yeah.
Apologies, was having issues with my microphone, but indeed, it sounds very, very interesting how you've overcome this challenging. Of course, when you're a startup 3 years old and then they come and tell you, let's sign a 5-year contract, it seems quite a challenge, right? It's a contract longer than you've been alive. So I'm going back to a question. I've been doing to several startups in this round, and it's about funding. Would you tell us a bit about how you're funded?
Yeah, so we established the company in September 2017, where we got a 3 million round from Vattenfall. Just before COVID hit the planet, we raised our Series A, the first closing. We wanted to have a second closing, which we postponed into the Series B, which we will have end of this year or early next year. And we are looking for a 10 million round.
Excellent. So it all sounds super promising, and good luck with that 10 million round. I'm sure it will be a success, because Solytic really seems like a very promising startup and really contributing to the energy transition, which is what everyone is speaking about nowadays, right? So it was a pleasure having you with us, Conrad. We will now need to move on to our last startup, Smart Helio. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, if you say Helio or Helio. But anyways, Smart Helio from Switzerland. Last but not least, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here and present. Imagine us as a Fitbit for solar panels and the batteries. So what happens that when a solar assets or the battery remain for a longer period, they become sick, and it's very hard to find the diseases in them. So we have developed our IoT solution, an intelligent software which can detect and predict the faults in the systems, and the user can take action. The whole intention goes into that solar panels and the battery e-waste will be around 20% in 2050. So, and with the prices going down, what happens in the industry that whenever a little bit of performance goes down, the solar owner want to replace it. And then what happens to those assets? And that's where the idea is to detect those early so that they can be fixed. We were founded in 2019 in Switzerland. We are now 16 people, mostly half team is PhDs coming from data analysis and solar tech. We have won in the last year 10 plus awards. We have already raised around 1 million, and the next round will be of 2 million this year. We work with big solar utilities like BKW, E.ON, LPIX, NG, and connect seamlessly with their monitoring systems. So whichever monitoring system they're using, either they have their own or they're using third-party monitoring like Chaos or 3S, Nispera, etc., where our systems can just sit on top of it and you can do diagnosis. Our idea is to become the brain of the energy industry, where you're collecting data and you can just connect to our cloud and our IoT sensors to diagnosis and be productive. That's what we are. Right now, we work with around 40 plus customers. We have already assessed 1.5 gigawatts. We are present in Europe, India, and US, expanding quite rapidly. And especially with this idea that the assets should remain for longer period, as our previous speakers has talked about, I think we fit very well. COVID gave us a good thing because COVID people could not move around to go to the solar plant and see what's happening. So they were using our systems, Smart Helio, to really diagnose and localize the faults. That's it. Thank you very much. And I'm ready for question and answer.
Thank you very much, Govinda. Really interesting to see Smart Helio. And in particular, I was very inspired by how the pandemic has turned to be really an opportunity for you instead of a barrier. So it's great to see that. Another feature I found super interesting about your product is its adaptability and communication with whatever system the utilities have, right? So I think that really allows for easier adoption. I was wondering, what's the greatest challenge you faced up to now? What would you say it was, and how did you overcome it?
So there are two things. One is the data collection. So many times, the most 80% of the big solar asset owners, whether it's a rooftop or the battery owners, they don't have good data quality. And that's even the biggest problem for us, because we need good data to run our algorithms or whatever systems we have. So that's one. And the second part is whenever you go to these energy prices have gone down. So now per unit energy price is so down that people are not willing to spend extra on anything. So our challenge has been to really define this delta X increase before and after Smart Helio. That's why people pay us. And that has been a tough, because it's not easy to just prove just like this that you're going to increase. But thanks to our team, and I think the technology worked out, that we are able to improve 10% before and after if you use our technology. So this demonstration has worked very well, and that's why we were able to expand very fast. And I think we'll continuously, our effort will be to really improve the performance and show the client that, hey, you have a more increase of clean energy now because of our system.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And it seems indeed your team and you were resilient and were able to overcome this challenge in a very smart way, right? So I think we're now at sharp the hour noon here in Bogota, Colombia, 6 p.m. in Germany, which was the end hour of our session. It has been a true, real pleasure to be with all the startups. I really want to thank you and congratulate you for making it to the SET100. For the World Energy Council and DENA, it's a real pleasure to have all of you here. It's been amazing to see the different startups working on the energy sector and the energy transition, and seeing how the energy transition cross-cuts with many different sectors. We saw how it cross-cuts with mobility, with heating, with transportation, with food production. So it's been truly enlightening, and also to see how customers and consumers are now at the center of the energy sector, and how innovators and startups are taking this seriously. So we're really happy to see all these innovators and entrepreneurs humanizing energy. Really congratulations, because these are all amazing ideas with great potential. I think we're now all on the screen. It was a pleasure being with you, and very timely, we now close the session. Thank you very much to everyone.